We are live 364 days a year. What are we doing here?
If Dom turns at SummerSlam, I'm shaving my moustache off. I've told you, if that happens, it's going. My lip is cold because of a stupid bet that I made with YouTube.
Oh, good.
Wrestle's better than Daniel Bryan Daniels. Better than Okada.
How do you not get sushi after Monday Night Raw?
What is going on, everybody? We are back once again with another edition of Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast. It is Mailbag Monday, August 25th. I'm fired up to be here. If you watched yesterday's daily, I've got the exact same crew hanging out with me. It's awesome. We're running it back, just like Jey Uso for sure. Let me introduce him to you really quickly. I'll send this one first and foremost out to the East Coast, around the nation's capital, to our very own Angie. How are you? I've missed you for like the last 11 hours.
That's right. It's only been like 11 hours. And gosh, we had a busy day yesterday, didn't we? Man, I'm glad to be here with the same crew again. Get a chance to do, hey, this is my first mailbox. Now that I think about it, right?
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's get into it, though. Before we do have one more. He's back, and it is Mailbag Monday. Also on the East Coast, but a little bit further north, Massachusetts, our resident Cowboy fan, Dez. What's going on, man?
Y'all hear that noise in the background? It says,
Running
it says
back.
for us to run it back. We're going to run it back again, Oos. Yeah, it's Mailbag Monday. What's going on, WR? It's going to be a very fun show. We got a lot of your takes. Thank you for submitting all these takes. Monday Night Raw, it's in about 1 hour, which I honestly almost forgot, but we're back, we're live, and we're here to go.
Absolutely. I'm fired up. I like these daytime wrestling events. It was kind of nice yesterday to wake up and just watch Forbidden Door. I'm on the West Coast, right? So it's 3 hours earlier even for me. I enjoyed that. 8:30 a.m. I've got 0 Hour on. It was perfect. I watched all day through Heat Wave and everything. Like, I mean, that was almost like an NFL Sunday worth of wrestling content, basically. Like, you had the day games and then you had the next game. Like, it was pretty cool how that worked out. We have Fernando Zayas, of course, friend of the show, in the comments with Happy Mailbag Monday, WR crew. Happy Mailbag Monday, Fernando.
Happy Mailbag Monday. Woo!
Monday.
Woo! Exactly. Let's get into our first one, though, here. And this is submitted by Apex Callit or Callit. I apologize if I butchered that. But thank you so much for submitting this. And it's LA Knight and Austin Theory should both be a one-time WWE champion by now. And I found this one interesting because these aren't two guys that I would actually categorized together. LA Knight has had a career resurgence late in his career. Austin Theory is still young, early in his career. I do see how it's possible that they both could have been former WWE champions by now, but I'm not 100% sure that I'm confident that I would use the word should. That's just my opinion out of the gates, though. Angie, I'm going to get yours and then you as well, Dez. What do you think about Austin Theory and LA Knight? Should they both have already won a world championship by now?
Oh boy. So as far as for LA Knight, I can understand where this person's coming from with this. At least once by now. Because LA Knight, if my memory serves me correctly, LA Knight has actually been in the company a lot longer than Theory has. Austin Theory. Sorry. Had a flashback for a quick second. Anyway, so but as far as for Austin Theory goes, he's still that mid card talent that can still go for mid card titles, which, let's be fair, both of them already did. But I think with a little bit more seasoning to Austin Theory, or get that one gimmick that really like sends him up to the top, then yeah, he could definitely get to a WWE, another championship, and be able to take the main event scene by storm. I think he just needs just a little bit more before he's there.
Yeah.
It's something he's missing, you know? You're making like that one soup and then it's like you taste it and it's like it's missing something, but I'm not sure exactly what.
I'm with you. And I think I find the two cases really interesting and unique. Actually, Theory has technically, I think, been in the WWE longer than LA Knight. LA Knight, obviously, with his history as Eli Drake in TNA, has been, I would say on the scene longer for sure, right? We've known about him for longer, but I do believe when LA Knight signed with NXT, Theory was on the main roster working alongside Seth Rollins as
was he?
When he was the Monday Night
so,
Messiah. Yeah. Shock, like
That's
as the youngest guy on the main roster. Because I looked into that this morning, Angie, and it threw me off. I was confused. And that might be the only reason I would put the two in the same category, is because they're both around the same build, and they both, that timing. Theory obviously got sent back down to NXT. He's in the way, right? And you have the time where he's in the way, and LA Knight's sort of making his ascent at the time as a heel, ironically, on NXT, if we remember correctly, which throws me for a loop. I still am inclined to say both are close. I think Austin Theory's biggest issue is twofold. Number one, the John Cena feud absolutely killed him, and Vince McMahon giving him the stupid egg. Stop it. And then last but certainly not least, I don't know if there's been a worse segment ever that I've ever seen to end a Monday Night Raw than the Bobby Lashley baby oil segment. That with Theory was.
I'm glad you went ahead and specified that, because I had it right here. If you were about to say if that was the worst segment of all time, I was like, oh, we're just going to pretend like the gobbledygook didn't happen, right?
No.
There's worse segments in that one.
Definitely worse segments. Absolutely. I do want to ask you, though, here, Dez, your thoughts. Do you think either one or both should be former world champions?
I gotta say, I really think if VKM was still in charge, Austin Theory would be a WWE champion. Now, I want to ask you guys, if we're in the year 2023 and Austin Theory is a WWE champion, would the fans really like that? Because when Theory won the Money in the Bank, it really wasn't shared that same enthusiasm. Now, I like Austin Theory a lot. I think he's a super underrated worker. He's a great seller. But I got to say, spades to spades, he really wasn't liked that. Well, backstage he was like, but he wasn't really liked by the fans. He felt like a bootleg John Cena. And a lot of the fans could see that from him. So if he was champion, would the fans really be happy with it? I don't know. Under Triple H, I don't think it ever was going to happen. I do like the guy a lot. He's still really young. I still feel like we haven't hit his ceiling yet, and I hope he can continue staying in the WWE because I feel like there's a lot for him more to deliver. And now switching over to LA Knight, LA Knight is a really tricky one because to make him a WWE champion, he has to deal with the name of Cody Rhodes, right? John Cena retired this year. He got into the name. Cody held it for an entire year. Not to mention Cody, LA Knight did face WWE champion, that being Roman Reigns at Crown Jewel, I want to say 2023. So he did have a chance there, but there was no way he was going to beat Roman. Now, if we're talking about the World Heavyweight Championship, sure, I can agree with that. But then you have Gunther, you have Damian Priest, right, who had a strong grip of that championship, as well as Seth Rollins. I'll say this, though. I do think LA Knight has a way better chance of being world champion over Austin Theory at this point right now. But to be honest, given all the cards, and I understand LA Knight is very popular, I just don't see any of these guys being champion, and I feel like there was still a lot more to go with them.
Curse
if I
mute
could,
button. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. I was just going to say, like, to be fair, like exactly as you're describing LA Knight, some of us were also kind of doing the same thing with Jey Uso.
Yeah,
true.
I'm just saying, like there's more of a possibility for LA Knight to get up there, just the kind of the same way as Jey Uso is. But when it comes down to Austin Theory, like I have to agree, like as soon as it got to a point where he had that feud with John Cena, that's when it really started to take the toll. Yeah. I already had it in my head that he was kind of like that one person that was, I am probably going to get shit for that. Stop for this. I'm so sorry. Okay.
It's all right.
I'm going to get stuff for this. Because I kind of saw Austin Theory the same way as I'm seeing Logan Paul.
Ooh,
okay.
That's interesting.
I know someone's gonna probably say, "Oh, he wasn't that bad." He kind of was that bad. He was taking selfies and being like, "Yeah, I'm the world's youngest," and I was just like, "I need you to go away for at least 2 months."
And I think, to your point, Angie, that's a really interesting part of this conversation. Of the two, I think Austin Theory always had sort of the potential. We thought, oh, he's so young, right? But he was annoying with the selfies and doing all that. He's so young. He's eventually going to, climb the mountain, figure it out, whatever, phrase you'd like to use for that one. LA Knight, I do think, was hot enough. If we're just comparing the two, LA Knight versus Theory, at one stage where he could have struck while the iron was hot. And of the two, I would say he would have been more likely to put the title on in hindsight, if that's the question, right? If it should have been in the past, not should the two still win one by now, right? If it should have already happened, I would argue that LA Knight over Theory, it probably should have already happened by now. And that's not to say that it won't happen for either one ever, or it won't happen for Theory, but I think LA Knight was at the point where he was so over with the crowd. The chant was working, the was working, all of it. You could have pulled the trigger and put the title on LA Knight. I'm afraid he would have been a transition champion anyway.
Exactly.
So it's not like it would have been a long reign, but it is an interesting conversation. I am glad we got to start with it. But let's move on to one that I've been really chomping at the bit to talk about, and I want to spend even almost a little extra time about it, because I've actually been banging this drum maybe harder than anybody in wrestling on this very show. And this is from Joshuano Josh. Sorry, that is a tongue twister there. I apologize if I butchered his screen name. It's like twister. So many J's, and then it's all H's and U's. That's a tough one. But either way, Jimmy deserves as much of a push as Jay did. I find this one fascinating because I always kind of said it. Think about that triangle tag team ladder match that we saw at WrestleMania 36 during the pandemic. Obviously, because of what was going on, it's one of the only tag team triangle ladder matches I've ever seen that was actually a singles three-way. Jimmy represented the Usos and won the match. Jay was the one that was not there at that time. The famous thing is Jimmy's the older twin. Jimmy was the quarterback in high school and the prom king. Jay was the wide receiver. They are uniquely different, but they're also very similar, obviously, being twins and whatnot. What Jey Uso's had is organic, but I felt bad for Jimmy the whole time. The moment for me where I was like, they're still tagging in the bloodline. Jay has a little bit of the right-hand man thing, and 2K rated him 90, and they rated Jimmy 89. And then the next year comes around, and Jay's at 91, and Jimmy's an 84. What happened? I watched their whole tag career, and ratings-wise, they're equal. Video games ratings aren't the end-all, be-all, but come on, guys. What are we doing here? And I think the answer is down the road, Jimmy probably does. I don't know if it's in the cards now, though, because we've already sort of seen it with his brother, and that's the difficulty of them being identical twins practically. I mean, right? Like, Dez, what are your thoughts on this? Because I think also we saw them wrestle in singles action against each other at WrestleMania, and they both looked equally good. So I don't even know, besides Yeet, exactly what's missing for Jimmy. I don't know, man. Talk to me about this, Dez, because I find it fascinating.
I think it's fascinating too. Now, I like both of them equally. It's just, I don't know, because I feel like it's such a really tough topic to talk about. The main reason is because you can argue Jay got over because of Yeet, and I would say that's fair too. But I don't know. Maybe because Jay connects with the crowd more, I feel like. But even then, I like Jimmy Uso a lot, and I think Jimmy's even a better wrestler. And that's not shade on Jay. I think they're both fantastic, but I just got to see it the way I see it. I think both of them are great. But I don't know, maybe it's just the way Jay connects with a crowd, right? Because I feel like if Jimmy did the same thing, I just feel like Jay can just do it more organically better. I can only say from experience, because I've been very thankful to go to a handful of Monday Night Raws, and when Jay Uso comes out, the fans go nuts for the guy, right? You can say whatever you want about him online. You're there in the arena, you witness it in person, in living color. You see that this guy is a top attraction, and it gets everybody going. So for me, maybe it's just because he can connect with the crowd more organically. Although, to be honest, I think they're both fantastic. And I do feel like Jimmy Uso does deserve more. I will say Jimmy Uso being like pushed away, like he's not as important, I feel like he should definitely be in the same picture as Jay Uso.
I agree. I think they should be standing on the same footing. I also find something really interesting. And this is where I want to continue this conversation because, it's Mailbag Monday. Let's talk about, tag team history really quickly, right? The Usos are high on that list of, probably top 5 tag teams in WWE history. I actually find it more egregious that Jay Uso has more reigns as a tag team champion than his brother does, than I do the fact that he won a world title first. The fact that he won the tag belts with Cody, they're 9-time tag team champions together. Jay Uso is a 10-time tag team champion. Jimmy's a 9-time champion. I find that bizarre. And I did not like that. That I was not a fan of, because I look at WWE tag team all time. You got to mention the Legion of Doom, the Road Warriors, of course. It's one of my favorites. But then you got Dudley's, you've got Hardys, of course, Edge and Christian. Then I think you immediately have to get into the Usos in the New Day territory. Mm-hmm. That's next on the list in my eyes. Personally, as far as accomplishments are concerned, yes, there are some historic tag teams we could name and all kinds of stuff like that. No, you didn't see it in an alternate universe. It was not a very good match at all. But my point was they were both equally the same skill level there. I just wanted to clear that up, Fernando. You did not. We all saw it. It was not good. But we've also got this is an interesting one from a friend of the show, DCX Warlord. It's actually cracked me up. Jimmy goes to TNA and makes a name for himself like Matt Hardy did. That's unbelievable to me. No, I don't think that's the case.
It could happen. It really could happen, because honestly, like Jimmy deserves more. And while we were talking about tag teams, I want to apologize to you, Clark.
Yes.
I want to apologize. You were absolutely right. Edge and Christian did win the anytime when there was like the triple threat tag team matches with Dudleys and Hardys. I went, did my research. I was like, you know what? Yes, it was anytime when those 3 were in a match together. Anytime when it was like either like 2 of the 3 feuding together, there were times where Edge and Christian lost.
Right.
I was misremembering, so I want to apologize publicly and give you your kudos.
By the way, it cracks me up because Angie, it's so funny. Thank you, and I appreciate that, of course. And you didn't have to apologize at all, but I find it to be one of the most fascinating, odd stats about that tag team era. Everyone remembers those matches, and it's like, oh, the Jeff spot here, Bubba threw 4 tables, all of that. It's like, right, but who won? Like, it's like, oh yeah, it was Edge and Christian every time.
Every time when those 3 were in a match together, they always won. But there were a few times where the Hardys did win against Edge and Christian, but it was for their own individual feud away from the Dudleys.
Exactly. Right. It was always when it was just a traditional not traditional match, but traditional 2-on-2, not tag team triple threat or whatever you want to call it. Fernando with Clark is always right. That's hilarious. I wish. I absolutely wish, but no.
I wish I had a button that was the blue X button to just say doubt. Even
I won't admit that. I've been incorrect, but I've never been wrong. That's what I always like to say.
But to get back to what we were saying about Jimmy and everything, it is a little strange with the fact that you see Jimmy more in a tag match than you would see him really in a singles match. The one thing I was absolutely giddy for was when, I forget which Royal Rumble it was, but Jay was starting off as number 1, and then Jimmy
24.
came out as 2. Which one was that?
24.
24. And the look on Jay's face was just like, you gotta be kidding me. Because this was like right after like Jay was just like, I'm just gonna do my own thing. Like it was just when that was like really starting to kick off. And Jimmy's just like, hey, where you going, fam? Huh? Where you going? You think you could just leave? Like, it was kind of like that.
Right.
And it was, and the storytelling there was just so good and everything. And then they just didn't know what else to do with Jimmy, like trying to get him back into the bloodline. And then like now it's like he feels very forgotten almost. Like it's almost forgotten. Like the fans, we didn't forget about him.
Right. Well, and
Booking did.
To your point, the Rumble encounter was better than the Mania match.
Yeah.
Right? That was probably their best one-on-one encounter for
absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah.
100%. All right, let's pay some bills here really quickly, my friends. Let's talk about our other friends over here at Barista Coffee. Check it out. Barista, small batch organic coffee created through excellence, authenticity, and unforgettable moments. Head over to baristacoffee.com or barista.com. I apologize. Baristacoffee.com. And you've got hats, visors, as well as fresh organic coffee. You can also rent an entire truck if you want for an event and parties and stuff. This is all awesome stuff. It's a good friend of mine, Bo Hostler. It's a huge passion project. High quality coffee. I assure you, you'll love it. But while I'm also asking for favors, do me one more. Subscribe to our second channel, Wrestling Republic Undercard, for exclusive videos, clips, and more. You're going to see sold separately over there with me and Anthony. If you're a collector, whether it's action figures or memorabilia or merchandise, we will talk about that. Grappling for Position, the list show with Drizzy. You're also going to see short form content that comes out of this very program, the daily broadcast. If you enjoy this one, I assure you'll enjoy Undercard. Oh, yeah. And I've got a sweet announcement. If you were wondering where in the world was off the air last night after Heatwave, guess what you get tonight? Head over to Undercard. Me, Drizzy, and Shoddy breaking down last night's NXT Heatwave on Off the Air. Y'all will love it, I promise. But let's get into our third mailbag question or take of the day, whatever you'd like to say there, basically. And that is, this is submitted by Top Flight Wrestling, _wrestling. Really easy to read by comparison to the other usernames. I really appreciate that. I wanted to say, but I don't necessarily know that I agree with the take. It says the Wyatt Six are the worst faction in WWE, and I believe it means history. I don't think I can possibly agree with that. I don't think it's going great, but I also don't think it's going horrible. But I do know somebody that has been researching all morning and thought about this quite a bit, and that's my good friend Angie. Get those notes out. Talk to me about this one, because I'm not so sure.
Let me just break these out real quick. There we go. So if we're talking of wrestling history, nowhere near. Absolutely nowhere near. Because according to my list here, we had ones like the Spirit Squad, the Welcoming Committee, which I'm sure that most of us forgot about. We also had the Authority. Want to go back a few decades, a minute. We had the Alliance, which worked story-wise, some points, but not always. But most of all, in more recent history, we had Retribution. So when you get a question, when you get something like the Wyatt Six being the worst faction of all WWE, it's like, no. Remember, we had the pandemic. we had some egregious things happening. Now, if we're talking about currently on the roster, it's not a matter of them being the worst. It's more of the fact that booking doesn't know what to do with them. It's the same thing with the LWO. They're still on the roster as well, but it's like what are you giving us to really care about here? Like, they're here, but why? Not like,
Yeah.
why are they a thing, but like, why should we care? Like, give us a reason for us to still care about them still being a faction. Because honestly, Selena Vega has been just doing it just fine by herself.
The weirdest part to me, I'm really glad you brought up the LWO, Angie, because I just want to say this really quick. Both the LWO and the Wyatt Six feel weirdly like they're a faction so that you can get 5 people on screen at one time. It's like, we don't need to do 5 separate segments. We just put them all out there together. And
Right.
That's just not right. That's not what it should be as a faction, right? Everybody should sort of play their role, and it doesn't feel as defined with the Wyatt Six or the LWO, right? Like the Wyatt Six, there's been standouts. The tag team has performed well. Nikki Cross is usually entertaining around the side of the ring, but she's not wrestling. It's not wrestling matches. And then you've also got with the LWO, it's just like, I don't know. Why are they all friends? Like, we get it, but there's not defined roles. I feel like, and that's what holds it back. But like you said, also when it comes to the list, DCX Warlord was in agreement. Retribution? Are you kidding me? The oddities I forgot about. The oddities.
Oh my god! I knew there was one I was missing.
Original Don Palace family.
Mm-hmm.
Then Right to Censor is a great one.
I hate their song.
This cracked me up. Jamal and Rosie, the welcoming committee. I will say 3-minute warning was sick, but the welcoming committee was a bit much.
The welcoming committee. Let's really think about this for a minute. Does anyone can we just like take a moment? Who remembers who's part of the welcoming committee? Because I know.
It was. I don't.
Do you guys know?
No, name.
I don't.
All right. So I did put that in part of my list. So the welcoming committee consists of Carmella, James Ellsworth, Tamina, and Natalia.
Oh no!
What?
The funny thing is that the welcoming committee. Oh, hold on. The funny thing about it is that the welcoming committee was basically to attack people who were getting called up from NXT. What's Carmella?
Yeah, an NXT call up.
Exactly. So, like, what? Why? Like, why?
What are we doing
Why?
here?
I forgot that was
You
a thing.
had forgettable. I hate to say this about Carmella because there were times where she was kind of like there in the forefront, but like when you think about it now, this was a faction that was made up of forgettable people. Oh, speaking of forgettable people, the Spirit Squad.
Yeah. Well, except for that, I got to give the Spirit Squad credit because Kenny kind of washed out, but Dolph Ziggler became a big star because of it.
Yeah, Nikki did good.
The only one.
That's true. That's true.
The only one to survive. They were literally shipped back to development on TV and then backstage. How do you fail that badly? How do you manage to become that much of a vacuum when it comes down to crowd reactions? Like, there wasn't just booing, it wasn't just cheering, it was just
this
really?
is the best bit. Fernando Zayas with the Dungeon of Doom. His worst action ever. The Dungeon of Doom from WCW was awful. They were awful, but Dez, what are your thoughts? Are they the worst WWE faction ever, or even currently, I guess, really quickly, and then we'll get on to our main event.
All right, ever? No, I think that's way too harsh. Right now, I hate to sound like a negative Nancy right now, but I got to be honest. When I look at the SmackDown Tag Team division and I see Melo Don't Miz, I see Pretty Deadly, I see Street Profits, I see DIY, I see Fraxium, and I'm like, oh, who's the champion? It's the Wyatt Six. And it's just, I don't know, man. Like, I love the presentation. I think their presentation is great. But when it comes to in-ring ability, it doesn't do it for me, man. It really doesn't move the needle. You know, I watch their matches and they're just fine, right? When I look at the SmackDown Tag Team division, I see some amazing matches, right? When they had Ray Fenix and Andrade to tag team, which they still do, amazing matches. Motor City Machine Guns, great matches, right? Melo Don't Miss, great matches. DIY, Street Profits, you get the whole shtick. It was amazing. I will say this though, worst faction? No, because I think there's one that might do it, and it's the MFTs, dude. I'm sorry, like I really like Solo, but I just can't, man. Like, it's not entertaining at all. Like, I like Tama Tonga. And this is not me crapping on anybody. I like them. But I like Tama Tonga. I like Solo. Like, Tala Tonga, I don't care for. Like, Jason Mateo, man. Jeff Cobb was so good in Japan, and they just wanted him down.
And Hikuleo, what are we doing?
Yeah, Tonga Loa. Here's how you save it. Ready? I'll tell you how you save it. You do the Wyatt 6 and you do the MFTs, and you have them do a program. Because Solo would be so funny if he was haunted by them. You'd be like, hey, no, hey, that goes over there. Like, it'd be funny. And I feel like they should do that. But besides that, I got to be honest, when it comes to wrestling, I hate to do it. I just hate to do it, but I got to be honest.
I hear you 100%. I mean, honestly, we could probably talk factions the rest of the day. But this
I
is
just want to
really...
put something out there really quick. I'm so
Go
sorry.
No, we have plenty of time.
Oh,
You're good.
Go ahead.
So, like, when we say factions, like, more than just, like, two people.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, DIY is more just made up of two people.
Yeah. And DIY.
So, same thing with Street Profits is just two people. Okay. Like, when we say factions, I mean, like, we're talking 3+ wrestlers.
Yeah.
Not just two wrestlers and a manager, but like 3+ wrestlers.
Yeah, exactly. I just mean like them in the tag picture. I get why they're in the tag picture, but when it comes to them facing these other tag teams, like the match quality for me, it doesn't get me excited. That's my only thing.
I will say this: you almost opened up a can of worms with DIY for me. It's always frustrated me because it's hypocritical. How can you be a tag team named Do It Yourself? Like you're supposed to be on a team.
You know what? I didn't even think about that.
Like, what do you mean? Do it yourself? You have a partner. Like, it's never made sense to me. Like, what? Who came up with the name?
I love the way you mention it. That's my type. That's my kind of humor right there.
I'm just saying, it's like, hang on, you're not doing it yourself.
It's like, one more thing I want to add. It's like when Dominic was facing wrestlers that were shapes. Like, it was just so funny. The pentagon, octagon. Yes, it's just like that.
No, it is. It's
so stupid. It was funny.
Let's move on to a really interesting one we've got here, because there's been some grumblings and rumblings about WWE this year compared to last year. And I do find it interesting. We've got its_me_Antonior with this one, and it's WWE doesn't seem to have a direction right now, just chaos. And I had to think about this one. I'm like, a direction, what do we mean? And I'm not trying to get too oddly specific in my take on this, but the way I look at it is this: they do have a direction, but we are a bit distracted this year compared to others. John Cena's retirement tour is a big deal, and that's going to take time. We're now in a weird stage where people are going to complain about that taking time. But did we not want it? Is sort of I hate to answer a question with a question, but did we not want the Cena retirement tour? I thought we did. It's pretty sure we did. Cody Rhodes. And I said this last year. And I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I was right about this one. I said, what do you do once he finishes the story? Then what? What's next? Yes, he's as popular as ever. But it's not the same as he's fighting to climb the mountain, and we all aren't sure if he can, but we all want him to. That's not what's happening now. That doesn't exist anymore. That's gone. And that to me covered a bunch of, things that we might have complained about over the last 2 years. Cody Rhodes finishing the story and the bloodline work and all of that covered up for some maybe not as good stuff that we might have been more upset about if we didn't get such great stuff there. I think where we're at now, there's some issues, but also the company is moving fast. And there's WrestlePalooza, this ESPN deal. There aren't any problems. So as far as resources, I think the direction is the WWE wants to maintain being the most powerful team. They want to be the New York Yankees, the New England Patriots, the 90s Bulls. That's what they want to do, right? They want to be the dynasty. And that's cool. I think that there's been less focus on the organic crowd all encompassing storylines like that, and more of a focus on moving forward and drawing bigger crowds, and then hopefully we can get back to that. But I just think we're missing a major story. I'm going to go to you first, Angie, then you, Dez, on this one, because I'm curious as to your thoughts. I don't know if it's necessarily a lack of direction. I think it's a lack of just absolutely all-encompassing, entertaining storylines. And we got lucky. You have to strike when the iron's hot when these things happen. They don't happen all the time. You can't create a second Cody Rhodes, right? There's more than one royal family, but in pro wrestling, and like his goofy song says, but yeah, there's not more than one Cody Rhodes, you know? And so, Angie, I want to get your thoughts on this, and then Dez as well.
So, as far as for what has been happening currently with WWE, it does seem like it's a bit on the chaotic side. Misdirection, I don't believe so. I think it's more so the fact that they start to get a storyline going, things are going pretty well, and then suddenly something happens either behind the scenes or something's going on to where certain characters can't make it on TV, to where things have to be rearranged and rewritten. And this isn't anything new to us. This happens all the time when someone, gets injured and has to go away for a while. If someone winds up getting to a point where they, like Naomi and her pregnancy, and then she has to be off the air, things like that. Heck, we literally just saw it with Forbidden Door too, where we had it to where Osprey had to go ahead and go in for surgery and everything. And it's like his doctor said, like, as long as nothing extra happens, like he should have a smooth surgery and recovery. And then what happened at the end of the show? They played into that and everything. So I think it's more so the fact that we get it to where WWE doesn't know where else to go with a certain storyline. The one that I'm going to not suggest, but the one that I'm going to reference in particular is the heel turn for John Cena, because what happened?
Yeah.
Because what happened? And here's what I found. I found that it was that, you can't really have The Rock and, God, what was his name?
Travis Scott.
Gosh, it was so forgettable that I forgot what his name was. Okay.
And he bailed on following up.
Yeah, when you have it to where two of the main people that was part of that just wind up, not showing up, then what else do you do with it? And then you come to find out that they are not even available to do further with the storyline. What else do you do? It just looks like it comes out of nowhere. Now, if that's part of it, and at some point I'm eating my words somewhere in September, and John Cena decides that he's going to be like, I told you I was going to ruin it for you, and just goes completely ballistic, then hey, well, I'm here for it. I'll eat my words. Absolutely. But you have it to where it's not the fact that it's just chaos. It's they're not doing the follow through as we need it to be, so that way the story can be finished properly.
There's two really interesting comments here from Saeed, because I'm in agreement with you here. Slow and steady wins the race, and it's WWE needs to practice what they preach. Remember what they told AEW when it first started. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. That's where I find it fascinating, the example you just presented, Angie. Somebody hit the panic button. And I think that's something you should try to avoid at all costs in wrestling. Somebody was like, oh no, this isn't going to work anymore, the heel thing. It's not working. And hit the panic button. I don't know if that was necessarily the right move. There was some positive conjecture coming out of SummerSlam, but I don't know if it was the exact right move at the exact right time. I don't think it was. We do have Biggs here getting his ones up for Angie, of course. We all do. No doubt about that. But Dez, I want to ask you the very same question. What's your opinion on the direction? Do you think they have one? Do you think they don't have one? Obviously, some mistakes have been made, but I do also think when it comes to professional wrestling and booking in general, things have to ebb and flow. There has to be peaks and valleys. It's more like a roller coaster than a steady graph moving upward. And it may just be one of those, but I want to get your thoughts on if that's the case. Is there something else that's missing? Maybe is there something that feels definitively different? I don't know, man. Because there's this lingering story here about WWE going after all these AEW shows. And I'll tell you what, I watched both last night. One was better than the other, and it's not the one that decided to go after them on the same day.
That's fair. I will say this. I think there's two major things right now. The first one being time, right? Because WWE is putting on so many PLEs each month, which I understand why they're doing it, because obviously they're earning a lot of money. And with John Cena going on, I get it. But with all these PLEs happening, there's not enough time to build all these storylines, right? A lot of them are rushed. A lot of them are makeshift because they don't really have the time to nourish and take care of these storylines, right? They kind of had that in the beginning, but now it seems we have a PLE like every single 3 weeks. So you only have so much time before you got to build. Not only that, life happens, right? And this isn't me, bashing on anybody, but like Naomi, right? She's pregnant, which I'm very happy, right? Liv Morgan, she got injured, right? That almost got injured, right? There's injuries. There's a lot of spots missing. So now you got to adjust. You got to hit audibles. You got to go in a different direction now, which also hurts the direction even more because it's like, okay, now we got to plan around losing one of our biggest stars and go in this direction until they come back. And the second one being, as much as I like John Cena, this is the year of John Cena, right? So fans who aren't really happy with the main storyline, John Cena was always going to be the focus and the pinnacle, right? This isn't a spoiler, but if I was a betting man, I'd say Cena and Logan Paul main event clash in Paris. You know why? Because this is the year of John Cena, right? Everything revolves around John Cena. This is his time, and his time is coming up in December, which I'm going to be very sad of. I'm going to be very emotional, like all of you. So the direction I think is going to happen in 2026, because I believe WrestleMania leads to all roads leads to WrestleMania, right? Whether it's CM Punk, whether it's Randy Orton, right? There's a lot of directions they can go in, right? They want to talk about Sami Zayn, his chase for the world title, right? They want to run Rhea and Bianca, right? These are just fancy bookings, but I feel like that is the direction they can go in. I just hope WWE does a better job of it and gives them more time so they can build these storylines, so they can have a proper direction heading into 2026. Because this year it's been a roller coaster, right? Because we have ups, okay, now we got down, we got ups, downs. So they got to maintain a consistent form, which I believe they can.
I think so too, and I like the positive spin you put on that as well, Dez. And I think, honestly, we should leave it at that for today. It's been a heck of a Mailbag Monday. Thank you, everybody that tuned in. We do appreciate it, except for the one guy in the comments that I really don't like. But thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you have an excellent rest of your Monday. Check out Off the Air over on Undercard tonight if you want to see us break down last night's NXT Heat Wave. I've got some things to say, as you know. But on behalf of me, Angie and Dez, I hope you have a great one. Tomorrow we'll be back, different time, but same place. That's noon Pacific, 3 o'clock in the East, 8 o'clock over in the UK, and of course, 9 a.m. for my friends in Hawaii. We will talk to you soon.